Hey, what's up YouTube? Okay, so this is going to be the first in a series of videos that I'm going to do on prepping, and I'm going to jump right into things. First off, I'm going to remind everybody to go to your lower right hand corner and click that autoplay off, because if you're like me, you probably forget about it all the time and it drives me nuts. Way to go, YouTube. Sarcasm. Okay. So let me get into this. This is going to be a basic video, and it's just going to basically talk about the different categories, the different areas that I prep for. And you know, I mean, I'm just like everybody else. I rely on a lot of common sense stuff. I surf the inner tubes and, you know, research what different people are doing and kind of put my own thing together. It's not like I'm a professional prepper or I build, you know, stills and wood gasifiers in the backyard. I'm not really at that level or anything. But, you know, I think if you follow along, you'll find some of the stuff useful. And as far as I'm concerned, if you pull one good thing away from a video, you know, it's paid its due for spending your time on it. Before I get into my list of things, I am going to speak about a handful of general things. So let me start right with that. And these are sort of like on the philosophical level. Don't worry, it won't be too long and painful. The first thing is to live your life and not waste your life. And this is a really, really important aspect that I want to stress, because it seems that so many people are getting caught up in prepping that they really lose track of you know, what's going on. And you know, I don't know a lot of things in life. I'm really pretty slow and I haven't learned too many lessons, but I do know this one thing: you can't get your time back. So you know, whatever time you spend doing stuff, I mean, that's it. That's what you spent doing. And for me, you know, regrets is probably one of the, you know, worst things that you can have in life. So as far as I'm concerned, you need to strike a balance, and this goes really with anything, not just with the prepping. I mean, you know, if you're a drinker, that's fine, but if you go out of balance and you drink too much, you become an alcoholic. If you're a gambler, that's fine, but if you gamble too much, you know, there's a good chance you're gonna lose everything, etc., etc., etc. And you know, you basically have to stop and smell the roses, you know, or else you're just setting yourself up for a bad situation. Okay, so the other thing is, you know, what is the basic purpose of this channel? You know, basically what I'm going to do is shine a light on the stuff that I'm doing and the methods that I use and the logic that I have behind the stuff that I'm doing. And again, you know, you take with it, or you take from it what you want and leave the rest of it behind. You know, hopefully, like I said, you find one or two things that is helpful, you know, even if it's just, you know, adding one point to your list or whatever it is. And, you know, I'll continually update everybody if I find a particularly good product or a particularly good way of doing stuff. You know, obviously I'll definitely post a bit on it and let you guys know. Okay, next point, you're gonna die. No matter what you prep for, I guarantee you're still gonna die. No matter, you know, what you have or how much you do, in the end, you're gonna die. It's funny, I always tell people how living in New York City, there's 1,000,001 ways to die. And, you know, right after 9/11, I'd talk to people online, or I'd meet people in the bars, and they'd be like, oh my God, you know, how do you know, live in New York City? It's so dangerous. The terrorists, you know, they're probably going to come back and all this stuff, right? And, you know, I would tell them, I'd say, you know, in this city, there's literally 1,000,001 ways to die. I mean, literally every night you turn on the news, you know, someone was getting hit in the head from a bottle falling off a skyscraper, or hit by a bus, or falling on the train tracks, or getting shot, or getting stabbed, or car accidents, or, you know, I won't even go into the obvious stuff like heart attacks or, you know, disease or whatever. And of course, you know, that wasn't exclusive to New York City. It's pretty much everywhere, and it's been around since day one. I mean, like, you know, let's look at the cowboy days when they had shootouts in the middle of the town streets, and you know, engines running all over the place trying to scout people, and all the diseases they had, and no medications, and you know, no advanced doctors or anything, blah 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 blah. Bottom line is we are all mortal, and life is dangerous, period. Okay, so this doesn't mean that we should have a fatalistic view and throw our hands up and say, oh well, you know, we're all going to die, let's not do anything about anything. No, it means that we have to keep everything in perspective. Okay? Okay, so further on this point, if there's a SHTF scenario like Mad Max on the street, your life expectancy just dropped dramatically. And if you're a patriot, which means if you're not going to take shit and you're going to be on the front lines, even if it's just at a community level, your life expectancy just dropped even lower. Okay? And that's no matter who you are, how much of a badass you are, how many guns you have, you know, how much gear you have, how much training you have, it doesn't matter. Okay? And just so you know, it's always the stuff that you don't prep for that gets you in the end. Well, okay, not always, but a lot of times it is, right? And for example, you could have the biggest, baddest bunker in the world and 50 years of food storage and water, okay? And then one night while you're sleeping, you get stung by a wasp, and it turns out you're allergic to wasp stings, and of course there's no ER and no medical stuff, so guess what? You're dead, okay? How did all that stuff help you? It didn't. That's life, okay? Deal with it. So we prep for foreseeable and preppable circumstances, but we don't try to prep for everything. And again, we keep everything in perspective. And why do we keep things in perspective? You know, why is that important? Well, it's simple, because when you have everything in perspective and you try to remain calm and rational, you can make much better decisions. And in a really SHTF scenario, you know, if you panic and you do the wrong things, and I'm, you know, this isn't just like, you know, if someone's chasing you with a weapon or something, you know, it's just making the wrong things, like spending the last of your money on the wrong thing, or, you know, investing in the wrong plot of land, or whatever it is. You know, if you do things out of a panic and you make a mistake in that situation, that mistake can you know, be the last mistake you make. So it's really important to, you know, keep things rational, keep things logical, and you know, not panic, and keep everything in perspective. My point of view. Okay, so the next point I want to talk about quickly is budget. Now, if you're like me, you could spend California's annual budget on prepping and, you know, still have a ton of stuff left on your list to buy. I mean, you can always have a faster sprocket and a bigger widget. I mean, that's just how it goes. But if you're also like me, you probably don't have nearly as much in your bank as Arnold has in cash in his wallet. So, you know, you're on a budget, and that really does make things pretty tricky, because, you know, you want to try and get the most bang for your buck, and you want to try and pick the best things you can to put your money into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys how I make my prepping purchases. And what I do is I create a list of stuff that I need. Again, I'm going to break down the categories of the different things that I prep for. But further, you know, I make a list, and I make this list red, green, and blue. So it's like 3 separate little mini lists. And the red's the most important stuff, the green's the next most important stuff, and the blue is the least important stuff. And the key to the way that I do my purchasing and the prepping is that once I purchase something from my list, okay, I don't make another purchase from that same category again until I've purchased from every other category on the list. Okay, so, you know, yes, there's exceptions to every rule. I'm not a robot, and I'll recap this system later after I break down all the categories. But basically, like, let's say that I buy 50 gallons of water, then I'm not going to purchase anything having to do with water until I hit, you know, my food and my communication and all this stuff. And, you know, that rounds out everything that you're purchasing. And at some point when the music stops and you have to sit in your chair, you're going to be stuck with what you got. And if you kept purchasing in one thing, you know, I don't think it's smart to just have, let's say, water and that's it, and have no other stocks and no other means for stuff. So by using this list situation, I think that it works out pretty well.